My family used my life savings for a luxury vacation. I wasn't even invited to and said, you weren't using the money anyway. So I filed a fraud claim, canceled the trip and the relationship. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Hey everyone, I've never actually posted on here before, but I'm so over it and need to just write this out. Maybe it'll help me not lose my mind. So yeah, I, 33 male, work in software. Nothing fancy. Just stable hours, decent money, and no boss breathing down my neck 24/7. I've been saving up for years, slowly stacking my bonus checks in a savings account, trying to get enough together for a down payment. Nothing extravagant. I'm not out here trying to buy a mansion in LA or something. Just a little place that's mine, with a front door that doesn't slam shut unless I want it to. I've lived in the same apartment for almost 7 years now, and I'm just ready to move on. The last few years have been rough, but not tragic. I've worked my butt off, lived under budget, skipped a lot of stuff people take for granted. No big vacations, no brand new car, nothing I couldn't afford outright. I'm single, no kids, no real family obligations. You'd think that would mean peace and quiet, right? Yeah. No. My parents, Dana and Bruce, are exhausting. They're not mean. That's the thing. If they were mean, it would be easier to walk away. But no, they're the smiling, passive kind of toxic. The you've always been so responsible kind that really means you're our safety net now. And then there's my younger brother, Kyle, 29 male. Oh boy. Kyle calls himself an entrepreneur, which apparently means he designs t-shirts on Canva and posts 3 TikToks a week talking about Grindset while living in our parents' basement. Last job he had was 4 years ago, and it lasted 4 months. They fired him because he wouldn't stop showing up late on principle. I wish I was making that up. Despite this, he's the golden child. Always has been. Got caught cheating on tests in high school? He's under pressure. Spent 3 semesters in community college and dropped out? College isn't for everyone. Totaled his first car? He was just going through a hard time. It's endless. Meanwhile, I get side-eyed for not showing up to family BBQs because I'm working or too tired. Anyway, fast forward to last Friday. I was having a slow afternoon, decided to finally sit down and look at my finances. I had just gotten my yearly bonus, $18,000, give or take, and I was planning to move it into my down payment account. I opened the savings account app, fully expecting to see the full amount sitting there untouched, just like always. It wasn't. The balance was under $1,000. I refreshed the page like 4 times, thinking it was a glitch or maybe I was logged into the wrong account. Nope. Right account, real charges. Gone. $18,000 was gone. Spent. Not even over a few months. Just poof. Like someone ran through it in a weekend. I started scanning the transactions, and that's when I felt my chest start to tighten up. Hotel bookings. Flights. Spa packages. One charge was literally called Hawaiian Sunset Luau Experience. My brain stopped working for a few seconds. It had to be a scam, right? Like someone hacked the account? But then I noticed the airline info. It was booked under my parents' names, and Kyle's girlfriend, plus a few others I recognized, my aunt and uncle, even my cousin Leo, who I hadn't spoken to in months. They booked a group vacation to Hawaii, a full week, luxury hotel, excursions, flights, all of it, using my money. And here's the part that really made my jaw drop. I wasn't even invited. Not a mention. Not a, hey, we're planning something. They literally used my savings to book a family vacation that didn't include me. After the panic passed, I called my mom. I was already shaking and trying to stay calm, but I had no idea how I was going to get through that conversation without yelling. She answered all cheerful, like nothing was wrong. Hi, honey. Everything okay? I didn't even waste time. Hey, did you take money out of my savings account? Silence. Then, oh, that. We were going to tell you. I didn't even know what to say to that. I just asked, you used it? All of it? We didn't use all of it, she said, like that made it fine. It's a family trip. We thought it'd be a good use of the money since you weren't doing anything with it yet. We thought you'd be happy to help out. You're always so generous, Theo. I went quiet. I didn't even have the energy to get mad in that moment. My body just kind of froze. She kept talking, trying to justify it. We just thought it made the most sense for you to cover it. Everyone else is a bit strapped right now, and you've always been so good with money. Like I was a community donation jar. Like it was just obvious that I'd pick up the tab for a group trip I didn't know existed. I hung up, didn't say anything, didn't yell, didn't argue, just ended the call. Then I sat there, phone still in my hand, staring at the wall. I could feel my blood pressure climbing. My eye was twitching. And then I realized they really thought they'd get away with it. They actually believed I wouldn't do anything. Like I was just a passive savings account with legs. They wanted a trip? Fine. They just weren't going to enjoy it. There was no going back now. Not this time. I've let a lot of stuff slide over the years. Covered for Kyle's car payments when he was between gigs. Paid off my dad's surprise medical bill that he swore the insurance would reimburse. It didn't. Let them use my Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, and Spotify like they were family perks built into my existence. And I never said much. Just kept working, kept saving, kept telling myself it was temporary, that maybe one day they'd appreciate it, or stop asking, or at the very least stop expecting it. But this wasn't a late bill or a favor. This was my house money, my future. They didn't ask, didn't warn me, didn't even tell me. They just swiped 18 grand like it was loose change in the couch cushions and tried to dress it up as family fun. And the best part? They weren't even going to tell me until after they were on the beach. I wasn't about to let that happen. So, first thing I did was dig up the old bank info. The account they drained was an old joint account I'd left open with my mom during a time when she was sick, and I thought it would help if she needed to access funds quickly. Apparently, she'd saved the login info, and I guess shared it with Dad and Kyle somewhere along the way. Stupid of me to leave it open, but also incredibly useful now. I called the bank. Not some automated menu nonsense. I got a live person. I laid it all out, walked them through how the account had been opened, what it was originally used for, and that I had never authorized any travel purchases, especially not for 6 other people. The rep was super calm, but I could tell she understood the level of mess this was. Were any of the charges disputed prior to today? She asked. No, because I just found out 10 minutes ago that my own family used my money like a group fundraiser. She let out this tiny chuckle, the kind you try to hide when it's not professional to laugh, but the situation is so absurd you can't help it. She walked me through the fraud claim, noted the charges, flagged the transactions, and told me to hang tight while the system processed the block. That was the longest 15 minutes of my life. While she was handling it, I opened up my flight app and booked a trip for myself. Nowhere expensive. Just a quiet little resort on the East Coast. Somewhere I could lie on a beach with my phone on Do Not Disturb and eat overpriced fish tacos in peace. I wasn't doing this to treat myself. This was spite. Pure, unfiltered, strategic spite. Once the fraud case was filed, the account froze. The charges were reversed as pending investigation, which is bank speak for you ain't going anywhere unless you cough up the funds yourself. That meant flights canceled, hotel reservations locked up, spa days vaporized. I gave it about 24 hours to let the chaos simmer before I did anything else. I didn't post anything yet. I knew they'd try to call once their plans started falling apart, and I wanted that to happen first. I wanted the airport scene, the moment when they all showed up with their lays and boarding passes and got stonewalled by a confused airline employee holding a tablet saying, "These tickets don't exist anymore." Exactly 23 hours and 14 minutes later, my phone buzzed. First call was Kyle, ignored. Then Dad, ignored. Then Mom. I let it ring out once, then answered when she called again. She didn't even say hello, just launched into it. "What did you do?" "They canceled our flights. We're at the airport." I put her on speaker and sat back in my chair. "Did they? That's wild." She kept yelling. "Theo, you can't do this. We spent weeks planning this trip." "Right," I said. "That you funded with my money." She actually said, "You weren't using it. It was just sitting there." I leaned in toward the speaker. "That's what saving is. That's the literal point." "You're being petty," she snapped. "And you're being a thief," I replied. She went on this long rant about how I embarrassed the family, how everyone was looking at them like they were criminals. Wonder why. How Kyle's girlfriend was crying. Good. How I'd made my point, and could I please call the bank and undo it? I told her no. And then, just to really twist the knife, I told her to check Instagram. Because while they were stuck at gate C14, waiting on a miracle, I posted a photo of myself stretched out on a beach chair with the caption, "Vacay time, fully funded, fully invited." That's when she hung up. About 20 minutes later, I started getting texts from every direction. Kyle accused me of being abusive. My aunt called me a narcissist. My cousin Leo said I traumatized the family. Even someone I didn't know, Kyle's girlfriend's sister or something, messaged me calling me selfish and toxic. That one made me laugh out loud. Imagine siphoning $18,000 from someone, planning a vacation they're not included in, and then calling them toxic when it gets shut down. It's like robbing someone, tripping on the getaway, and blaming the sidewalk. I didn't respond to any of them. I didn't need to. They could scream all they wanted. They weren't getting the money. They weren't getting the vacation. And most importantly, they weren't getting me. I turned off my phone, laid back in my chair, and just listened to the waves. No guilt, no second guessing, no more mental gymnastics trying to justify their behavior as they meant well or they were just stressed. Nah, this was exactly what it looked like. Theft, entitlement, and the assumption that I'd never push back. But I did. And this time I wasn't going to apologize for it. They didn't take the hint. Or maybe they did and just didn't care. Either way, by the time I got back from my little beach trip, they had escalated from texts and voicemails to something a bit more theatrical. I pulled into my apartment complex on a Tuesday afternoon, ready to throw my laundry in and decompress, only to find three very familiar faces standing by my front door like it was an episode of Family Intervention. Entitled Edition. My parents and Kyle. All waiting, arms crossed, looking like they were about to stage a protest on my doormat. I parked slowly, took a moment to breathe, then grabbed my bag and walked up the stairs like I didn't see them. I honestly hoped they'd be embarrassed enough to pretend they were in the wrong place and leave, but of course not. That would require self-awareness. Mom was the first to speak. "Can we talk?" I stared at her for a second and said, "You came all the way here uninvited to talk after robbing me?" She looked offended. "Don't say it like that." Dad jumped in. "We just want to clear the air." Kyle, predictably, said nothing. He just stood there with his usual expression, somewhere between smug and annoyed. Like this was all beneath him and he had better things to do. Probably designing his next brand logo in Canva while waiting for someone else to pay his phone bill. I unlocked the door and left it open. Say what you came to say. They followed me in like it was their place. Mom sat on the couch like she owned it. Dad paced, and Kyle leaned on the kitchen counter. "We didn't think it would blow up like this," Mom started. "It got out of hand." "You think?" I said, setting my bag down. "We just figured you weren't going to use the money right away," she said again. Like that excuse would suddenly hit different if she repeated it enough times. Dad tried to get logical. "Look, the flights are gone. The hotel's canceled. We're not asking for anything now. But this whole thing, it's not good for the family." I laughed, loud. "I'm not good for the family? Y'all took 18 grand and went behind my back. I hit the brakes and now I'm the bad guy?" Kyle finally opened his mouth. "It's not about the money. It's about how you handled it." I turned to him. "You're right. I should have gone down to the airport and tackled you on the jet bridge instead." "Don't be sarcastic. That's how I cope with absurdity, Kyle." He rolled his eyes. "You make 6 figures. Why does it even matter to you? You live in a 1-bedroom apartment with secondhand furniture. That's because I don't spend $18,000 on one trip. That's called being responsible." He threw up his hands. "You're acting like this ruined your life." "No," I said calmly. "I'm acting like someone who finally realized I've been treated like a backup plan with a bank account attached." The silence after that hit different. My mom spoke again, quieter this time. "We just wanted the family to have one good trip. So steal from me." Dad stepped in again. "All right, this has gone too far. Let's be reasonable. Just call the bank. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. Fix the damage." I leaned on the table and looked him dead in the face. "You think the damage is the frozen flights? The canceled hotel? Nah. The damage is you deciding I don't get a say in how my money is used." He looked frustrated. "So you're going to destroy your relationship with your entire family over one mistake?" I didn't blink. "You destroyed it when you decided my independence was negotiable." Then I went to my desk, opened my laptop, and logged into every shared account they'd ever mooched off of. Netflix, gone. Spotify family plan, kicked. Amazon Prime, see ya. They didn't even know I was doing it in real time until Kyle's phone buzzed and he looked at it. "You locked me out of Spotify?" he said, like I'd unplugged his oxygen tank. "Sure did," I said, without missing a beat. "Anything you're using that has my name on it is officially over." Dad's tone shifted instantly. "Don't do anything drastic, Theo." "Oh, I'm past drastic. I'm at clarity." Then I opened my banking app and clicked the final piece. Closure of the old savings account. No more joint anything. I was done playing community piggy bank. "You don't get to shut us out," Mom said suddenly, standing up. "You already shut me out when you made financial decisions about my future behind my back," I said, voice flat. Kyle shook his head. "You're punishing everyone for being loved. That one made me laugh again. No, I'm punishing people for treating me like a budget line item. I stood up and pointed at the door. Now, get off my porch. And don't ever show up unannounced again. Dad looked like he wanted to say more. Kyle looked like he wanted to argue, but couldn't find the words. Mom just started crying. Not loud sobs, more like a soft whimper that I might have felt bad for 6 years ago. Now, it just felt manipulative. They left. Didn't slam the door, didn't shout on their way out, just walked out like the energy had been drained from them. And as soon as they were gone, I locked the door, shut off my phone, and sat on the floor. No TV, no music, just silence. And it was the first time in years that silence felt peaceful instead of lonely. Because for the first time, I wasn't paying for peace and still getting chaos. So I thought that locking the door on them, both literally and financially, would be the end of it. I figured they'd rage, throw a fit for a few days, and then leave me alone. Maybe Kyle would make a passive-aggressive Instagram story about fake people cutting off real ones, and Mom would email me some long-winded Bible verse about forgiveness. Then they'd eventually move on. But no. Apparently, I'd poked a bear I didn't even know was asleep. The guilt parade started exactly 2 days after I kicked them off my porch. It began with a text from my Aunt Mindy, someone who hadn't messaged me in months unless it was to say happy birthday, in the most generic way possible. Her message read, "We're all really disappointed in how you handled this. Your mother is heartbroken. Is that really what you wanted?" I stared at it for a full minute, didn't reply, just screenshotted it and saved it in a folder I mentally titled Emotional Blackmail Volume, 1 foot. Then came the group messages. Kyle dropped a paragraph in the family chat, which I had renamed Offline before muting, and it was some unhinged monologue about how I was alienating everyone who ever cared about me, that I should have come to them like a man, and that canceling people over money is disgusting. This from the guy who once refused to come to my birthday dinner because it was too far, 14 minutes away. He also used the word toxic 4 times and included a quote from some guru he follows online. Something like true wealth is measured by connection, not control. I think I laughed so hard I pulled something. After that, I got 3 voicemails in a row. One from Mom, which started calm and turned into full-on sniffling drama halfway through. One from Dad, where he kept calling me son like that title still held weight. And one from Leo, the cousin who never paid me back for the PlayStation 5 pre-order I floated him, who apparently thought it was his moment to mediate. I kept all the messages, but didn't respond to any of them. I needed space, not more gaslighting. Then I logged into my phone carrier and changed my number. Yep, after 15 years, I finally got a new number. I sent the updated one to the handful of people who actually respected me, mostly coworkers and 2 close friends. Everyone else? Gone. No access. No more. And it was like a weight dropped off my chest. I didn't realize how much pressure I'd internalized until I wasn't waking up to paragraphs and call alerts anymore. No more waking up already defensive. No more emotional landmines hiding behind voicemail badges. It was quiet, and that quiet was addictive. Still, the storm hadn't passed. Because when you stop being useful to people who only loved you for what you gave them, they don't just go silent, they get creative. 2 days after changing my number, I got an email. From Dad. Not a long one, just a single line. "We need to talk before this gets worse." That was rich coming from the guy who let Kyle take a joint savings account, like it was a group piggy bank, and then showed up at my place like I owed him a sit-down chat. Worse? What was worse? Not being their human refund anymore? I left it on read, or I guess on unread since I didn't even open it. Then came a message through Venmo, of all things. $0.01 from Kyle, labeled, "Please just talk to Mom," which is both pathetic and weirdly genius in its own manipulative way. I didn't respond. Blocked him on there too. Here's the part people don't tell you. When you start setting boundaries for the first time in your adult life, it doesn't feel good right away. It's actually awful at first. You second-guess everything. You wonder if you're overreacting. You wonder if the silence means you did something wrong. But then I remembered all the little things. The way they only ever invited me to family stuff when they needed help setting up tables or hauling folding chairs from the garage. It was never, "Come relax," or "We want you there." It was, "Can you bring ice?" or "Be here early to help with decorations." I was the unofficial setup crew for birthdays, baby showers, anniversaries, but somehow never the actual guest of honor. Then there were the little comments they thought I wouldn't catch. Like when Mom said, "I'm so proud that one of my sons doesn't need constant support," while Kyle was sitting right next to her. He just smirked like it was a joke. I smiled too, because that's what I used to do. Pretend it didn't bother me. But the message was clear. Kyle needing help got him more love. Me not needing anything meant I got less. It wasn't just the money. It was years of being treated like a support beam for a house I didn't live in. And I finally stopped holding it up. That weekend, I got a knock on my door. My neighbor Linda, a sweet older woman who always waves at me when I bring in groceries, held out a letter. "They left this for you," she said. "Tried to slide it under your door, but I was out walking Muffin." I took the letter. Handwriting was Mom's. I didn't even open it. Dropped it straight into the shredder. Because whatever apology was in there, if it was even that, wasn't about making things right. It was about making me the villain for choosing myself. And I was done with that storyline. I didn't expect them to give up. I knew how this worked. My family doesn't apologize. They reframe. They don't own what they did. They pivot, spin it into "you misunderstood," or "that's not what we meant." Or my personal favorite, "you're blowing this out of proportion." They rely on you getting tired first. That's how it's always been. But I didn't fold this time. I stopped replying. I didn't answer the door. I didn't check voicemails. I even canceled my family's access to my Google Calendar, which they use like it was some public notice board to drop reminders for events I never agreed to attend. I went full radio silence. I started doing things I hadn't made time for in years. Little things. Cooking for myself instead of grabbing whatever would make the hunger go away. Reading a book and actually finishing it. I reorganized my closet, deleted old files from my laptop, cleaned out my email inbox. I started living in a way that didn't feel like I was constantly bracing for the next ask. But just when I thought the fallout had fully gone quiet, I got a message. I almost deleted it without checking, but then I saw the name. Kelly. Kyle's now ex-girlfriend. We'd never talked that much together. She always struck me as someone trying way too hard to blend into our chaotic family. She was nice, overly agreeable, and clearly trying to make Kyle look more functional than he really was. Always smiling, always nodding. I figured she'd disappear the second she realized what she signed up for. But apparently she stuck around longer than I thought. The message came through Facebook, of all places. I hadn't logged in for months, but I got a weird email saying I had a new message. I almost deleted it without opening. But then I saw the name. "Hey, Theo. I know this is weird, and you probably don't want to hear from anyone connected to your family right now. But I thought you should know. I left Kyle. For good." I paused. Opened the message fully. He's been a mess since the trip got canceled. He spiraled. Started drinking more, lashing out, blaming everyone but himself. I didn't see it before, but now I do. I just wanted to say, "You were right. About all of it." She went on to say she'd seen him trying to guess my new passwords. Found him attempting to reset my bank login just to check. He didn't even deny it. Told her I owed him, and that he was just taking what he was already promised. That part made my skin crawl. Kelly wrote, "I'm sorry for the role I played in it. I knew where the money came from. I should have said something. I just didn't know how." I didn't reply for a couple of days. I needed to sit with it. Because yeah, it was nice to hear someone acknowledge the truth for once, but it also made me realize how deep the rot really went. Kyle was still trying to access my accounts weeks later, still trying to crawl back into my finances like it was his birthright. And the family? Still silent. No one had called him out. No one had distanced themselves. They just pretended like it was all some unfortunate misunderstanding. That's when I realized they knew. All of them. Maybe not every detail, maybe not the specific transactions, but they knew. They knew what Kyle was doing. Maybe not the password resets, but the entitlement? That was nothing new. That was normal. That was expected. They weren't shocked because they didn't see a problem with it. I replied to Kelly, eventually. Just a short message. "Thank you for telling me. I hope you find peace away from him." I finally did. And I meant it. That same night, I sat down and wrote out a letter. Not to them. I wasn't mailing it. It was for me. A way to finally take everything spinning around in my head and dump it onto the page. I wrote about being the dependable one, the quiet one, the lucky one because I didn't need help, which by their logic meant I didn't deserve any either. I wrote about every birthday they forgot, every time I covered for Kyle, every time they said I was too serious just because I wasn't failing upward like he was. I ended it with one line. "If your love depends on what I can give you, it was never love to begin with." I folded it up, put it in an envelope, and slid it into a box where I keep my old journals. It's not a goodbye letter. It's a reminder. A reminder that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. The next morning, I opened a new savings account. Fresh start. Different bank. I set up two-step verification, updated all my logins, made sure my name was the only one on every document. And it hit me how different this felt now. This wasn't about the money anymore. It was about ownership, of my finances, of my time, of my life. It's strange how quiet everything gets once you stop answering. Like fully stop. Not just ignoring a call here or there, not just deleting a text or muting a group chat, but actually going completely silent. No reactions, no responses, no little green dot next to your name on apps they still think they can reach you through. Just quiet. At first, the quiet felt unnatural, like I had unplugged a machine I wasn't supposed to touch. You know that moment after a power outage where everything just sounds weird? That was me. Walking around my apartment in the mornings without the ping of someone asking for something, making coffee without seeing a "can you cover this?" bubble pop up, just stillness. I moved into a new place last month. Nothing fancy, just a clean, affordable one bedroom with way more light and way less noise. Nobody has the address. Nobody helped me move. I packed it all myself, booked a moving company, and didn't tell a soul. It wasn't spiteful. It was just necessary. A reset. But here's something I didn't think I'd be typing. They found me. I don't know how. I didn't post the address. I didn't forward my mail. I even changed the shipping info on all my accounts and set up a P.O. box for anything important. But somehow, maybe through a cousin, maybe Kyle stalked my LinkedIn, they figured it out. I was mid-lunch, leftovers in the microwave, Bolt half asleep by the door, when I heard 3 knocks. I peeked through the peephole and felt my stomach sink. Mom, Dad, Kyle. I didn't open the door right away. I just stood there, frozen. Part of me wanted to pretend I wasn't home, but their car was parked right out front and Bolt was already up, tail wagging like an idiot traitor. The knocking came again, louder this time. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Surprise! Mom chirped like this was some birthday ambush. Dad gave this tight smile. Kyle said nothing, just leaned back like he was already annoyed to be here. I didn't say anything, just looked at them. Mom clapped her hands together. We were in the area and figured, why not drop in and see your new place? It's been too long. Yeah, I said flatly. That's kind of the point. She ignored it and walked past me like she owned the place. Dad followed. Kyle stepped in last and gave me this half-hearted yo, like we were still boys or something. I shut the door and stood there, arms crossed, watching them look around like they were touring a damn model home. This is really nice, Mom said, walking through the kitchen. Bright, clean, very grown up. Minimalist, Dad added, like he was doing me a favor by approving my life. Kyle opened my fridge without asking, just stood there judging my groceries. I let it go for exactly 3 minutes. Then I asked, so what do you want? Mom blinked at me. What? You didn't drive across town with 0 heads up just to compliment my curtains? What do you want? She gave that tight smile she does when she's trying to act calm, but her voice gets squeaky. We wanted to see you. Make things right. Really? I said, folding my arms. Because last time you saw me, you called me selfish for not funding your vacation. And before that, you helped yourselves to $18,000 of my savings. But sure, tell me how this is about making things right. Dad cleared his throat. All right, we'll just be honest then. I raised an eyebrow. He looked at Kyle, who suddenly found something very interesting on the floor. Then Dad looked back at me. We're in a bit of a tight spot. Things haven't been the same since the whole trip situation. Finances have been rough. And we figured maybe if we could just talk face to face, you'd see that we're trying. Trying to do what? I asked. Get another handout? Silence. Then Kyle piped up. It's not like that. Really? I said. Because it feels exactly like that. Mom sat down on the edge of my couch, carefully, like she thought I'd scold her for touching it. We're not here to take advantage of you. We just thought maybe you could help us get caught up. Temporarily. How much? I asked. Might as well skip the fluff. She paused. Well, we thought maybe if you could loan us around 5,000. I laughed. Loudly. Too loud. Bolt barked. Kyle scowled. Why is that funny? Because it's insane, I said. You steal $18,000, vanish, guilt trip me for cutting you off, show up months later without calling, and now you're asking for $5,000 like I'm your personal ATM with a view. Mom's face dropped. We weren't trying to hurt you. We didn't think. No, you never think, I snapped. You just assume that I'll pay, that I'll forgive, that I'll show up. And now what? You're back with your hands out because Kyle blew through whatever fake business he started last week? Kyle snapped. This isn't all on me, you know. No, I said, because every single time this family needed something, it somehow landed in my lap. You break things and I'm supposed to fix them. Not anymore. Dad tried a new angle. What happened to families sticking together? I stared at him. What happened is you mistook unconditional love for unconditional access. Mom stood up, eyes glossy now. We made a mistake. No, I said, stepping toward the door. You made a choice. And now I'm making one too. I opened the door. Please, she said softly. We didn't know what else to do. That's not my problem anymore. They shuffled out one by one. Kyle glared at me. Dad said nothing. Mom turned just before stepping out and said, I hope one day you understand we were just doing our best. I nodded. And I hope one day you understand that your best doesn't mean I have to burn myself down to keep you warm. I shut the door, locked it, didn't watch them leave. I stood in my quiet, sunlit kitchen, stared at the closed door, and waited for some kind of reaction to kick in. Anger, maybe. Guilt. Sadness. But all I felt was calm. Not relief, not triumph. Just calm. Like the final piece had snapped into place. They came back thinking the silence was temporary, that I'd cave eventually, that maybe the new apartment and the new number and the time away was just some phase. Closure isn't slamming the door. It's realizing you don't even owe them a door to knock on. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Really. Actually done.